Welcome to The Prize Inside, your favorite source for exploring the human potential through the stories of ordinary people achieving the extraordinary. These aren't just people exceeding physical limits. They're doing the impossible, and they aren't done yet. Are you ready to exceed your potential? Then join in now with your hosts, chiropractors Rochelle and Jeremy Myers and massage therapist Bunny.
Hello there, and welcome to The Prize Inside. This is, we're talking today about principle number 2 of the 33 chiropractic principles. We're going to go through this exploration of all 33 chiropractic principles to help you understand holistic mindset and what that does to the rest of your life. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to do that. This is going to be our pretty much beginning of the week podcast until we get through all 33 chiropractic principles, hoping to get into all kinds of different holistic concepts as we go forward. So let's do our sponsors real quick. Our first sponsor is MyPeak Direct, MYEPEAK Direct.com. It is an online holistic store that helps you get through the jungle of holistic online shopping. So there's so many different options in holistic brands out there. MyPeak Direct uses holistic doctors, and we get highly recommended products, so you're not lost when you go in there. The holistic, there's so many different ones, from supplements to different various tools that you can use for self-care. This will be the place to go to find out the best on each level. So if you're interested in checking it out, the supplements currently in there are fantastic. I use them all the time, every day. So if you want to check those out, it's www.mypeakdirect.com, MYEPEAK Direct.com. Dr. Rachel Myers and Amy Segerman offer 4 components to support you as you begin your journey towards lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. Your coach will be with you every step of the way. Studies have shown that having a support system around you that will get you better results. It's why each client is paired with a coach to guide them on their path to optimal health and well-being. Our coaches are there to empower and encourage you in real time. They know the journey you're about to be on because they've done it themselves. And they've brought me through themselves 40 pounds difference. So the life you want is waiting for you. All you have to do is take the first step. All right, so let's dive in to our awesome chiropractic principle. So we're going to go into, let me go back real quick. So I'm going to read the chiropractic principle number 2. Is called the chiropractic meaning of life. So you got to think this is kind of an important one. It's called, and it starts with, and we'll talk about this. So principle number 1 is that there's a universal intelligence that resides in all matter. So if you want to go back, check out that. The universal intelligence is based on the assumption that because there's organization to the universe, and maybe it's even beyond what we know, there's organization, which equals intelligence. So that intelligence, we need to count. Gravity is my favorite example because it's easy. So we have the law of gravity. That's a universal intelligence that allows us to use the earth as it needs to be used, right? So and so when we talk about the next sentence of the chiropractic meaning of life, there's also what we call innate intelligence. Innate intelligence is your body's ability to basically commingle with the universal intelligence. So we call it innate intelligence is the organization to commingle or coordinate with the universal intelligence of the earth. So those two intelligences are in there. So this is what the chiropractic meaning of life says. The expression of this intelligence through matter is the chiropractic meaning of life. So, very simple. but can be extremely profound as we go forward. So a good example of this, there's many examples of the meaning, the expression of this intelligence, but we'll go into a few. So you going back to the universal law of gravity, our innate intelligence, when we were infants or newborns, we had to build skeleton of bone and skeletal muscle structure. Why? To begin to combat this universal force of gravity. Now, it's not combating, it's not to defy it. It is to coordinate and work with it as best as we can. That is the beauty of the chiropractic meaning of life. It isn't about defying it, which is what our kind of society has decided, that, you know, our earth, we are living against our earth, or trying to live despite the earth's movements and those kind of things. We're kind of taught that through many things that we'll get into. However, that's not how it works. It's a coordination between those two that show you so much information that once you understand that, then life gets a little simpler. And as you go, you can start to use this information to your advantage. So one of my neatest things that I always tell people is the time that we watch a mom have a baby, right? So they get pregnant, maybe it's their first time, somebody in your family, everybody's so excited. One of the neatest things for me to watch is how we interact. So we interact differently, as a society. Like I'll give you an example. A pregnant mom comes into our waiting room, and grandmas that weren't talking before are now asking all kinds of questions about the baby. How's the mom feeling? Those kind of interactions. And it's very common. It's almost to go, it's for sure, and it kind of, maybe mom is a little more introvert, so she's not as open to that, but a lot of times they are, and it's just that time where everybody's happy. You see this wonderful baby. We actually live differently, and that is probably the most profound part to me, is that all of a sudden we start to live differently, which is kind of troubling in a way, because you go, okay, well, why are we living differently now? Like all of a sudden we're eating better. Our doctors are saying, hey, take these supplements. Why wouldn't you take those before? Right? Well, the reason is because now we have a responsibility for this baby to grow as healthy as you possibly can. I get that. However, we should be doing this stuff all the time. But I digress. So that's where you see it. That's where you'll see one of the most powerful times of humans being able to show that innate intelligence within us is the pregnant mom. And it's so cool. A good example I want to also throw out there. One time I was watching it was a Facebook post of this linebacker. His name was James Harrison. James Harrison played linebacker for the Steelers for a bunch of years. He had this huge career. One reason I was impressed with him, he's only like 6'1", which is not a thing anymore in NFL, but he was just made of pure muscle, and he had a starting career for, I think 20 years. And so when he talks, I listen. And so he had this post where he said part of his income that he would make millions, right? 300,000 of it went to self-care type situations. So one of my friends, we were like, ooh, that's pretty cool to tell people about, So, but one of the things that was profound is one of the statements or the comments below, this lady said, man, yeah, that's good for him. He uses his body for his career. And it hit me at that point. It said, wait, we all use our bodies for our career. And so me and my friend just kind of laughed about that. And a lot of people don't understand. Did you know if you took and you understood in our society currently, if you had between $1,200 and $2,500 of whatever income that you did, you could potentially get pretty much the same type of care that James Harrison was getting. Just you have to go there. You don't get to hire them and have it Johnny on the spot. But you could actually have that same type of self-care in your life every day. And you don't need as much because you're not getting destroyed by another 260-pound person every day. So just food for thought as we go forward, and how you start looking at the body as like, okay, how is my intelligence being expressed? All right. So when we look at this, and when we say the intelligence is expressed through matter, and that is the chiropractic meaning of life. When you look at nature, you see nature is like all these perfect order pieces, right? So you go walking in the woods, or you see the ocean and how it works every time, those type of things. And we're just amazed by that. That's one reason why we're drawn to walking in nature, going to the beach, these kind of things. Nature is just, it's wonderful. And so what is the time that we see that things happen? It's when we interfere with it, right? So when we, leave garbage on the beach, when we, are mountain biking and something falls off your bike, that's where nature gets a little interfered with, and it's very profound. It's like it changes, that intelligence of that area. So, and why I bring that up is that's what we got to think about, and that's what holistic doctors do, is we actually start looking at the body as, okay, it's perfect, right? And it has to express this innate intelligence. But if it's not expressing the intelligence to the universal intelligence, right? Because those two coordinate, and that's the most profound piece. Why is that occurring? A good example would be somebody fell off a ladder and hurt their back. Well, gravity took them down, right? But the patient was kind of defying gravity at that time, so it can happen. So, but then why is there so much inflammation and pain? It's trying to get your brain to say, hey, I need to rest this. I can't be keep going in the gravity situation that we are. So a lot of times, as simple as it is, and a lot of people don't think about it, but laying down, maybe, just laying down and resting could be enough to allow the body to heal itself within. That's listening to your intelligence as you go forward. So just some food for thought on those, those pieces there, because one of the things that has really, I think the chiropractic meaning of life is so profound that I wish we could start with it in, kindergarten, because one of the biggest issues I always have is that we've been told this is not true. So when somebody says the universal intelligence, right? So we'll go back to that. Universal intelligence is perfect. It's ordered. The earth is great. Now we have our innate intelligence. So we have this innate intelligence that must coordinate with the universal intelligence. What we're taught, much to our dismay, is that our body is in this world, and we have to defy universal intelligence to survive, right? So if we don't, then there's ramifications and all that kind of thing. So what it means is that they're saying our innate intelligence, this is what we're taught early, our innate being is not good enough to, survive on this planet. And because we're so good at that fear part, like I think we talk in another podcast about fear and what they found in those. By doing that, it drives a different control mechanism into our world. A good example is right from the get-go is when you have a kid and they hurt themselves, so they got a scrape on their arm and it's bleeding. We have been taught, and everybody does it, it's that you put a Band-Aid on there, right? No big deal. You wash it off, put a Band-Aid on it. But we don't have the explanation. If you ask that child later what healed the cut, they're going to say the Band-Aid or the kiss from mom, right? Now, the kiss from mom is a little closer than the actual Band-Aid itself. But we know, really, that the body healed the Band-Aid, the body healed the cut. It just wasn't magically, it just didn't magically, because you put a Band-Aid on it, go away, right? And what happens, though, is when we start to look at that, so the Band-Aid represents like an outside in. Like, remember how we talked about the above, down, inside out? So we have an outside in force early telling us that's what you need in order to, heal, right? So what does that do? It makes us look for outside in influences within our body. And what the chiropractic meaning of life does for a lot of us chiropractors, especially when we look at somebody coming in, we look at why their innate intelligence isn't being expressed correctly, right, to the universal intelligence. And that leads us down this entire different road. That's why after 20 years, it never grows old. But what happens in most of the time, once I've kind of got you that feeling and you start taking that self-awareness track in your head and you start asking questions, people start asking me, different, hey, I've got this issue over here. What do you think? And so we kind of break it down. Like it's, you can have, I'll give you an example. This happened just this week. Lady had what they consider diagnostically in medical terms is frozen shoulder. So they had no real answer for her. So they had about a year of therapy, but there was no injury, right? There was no injury to this lady. So we're going, that's weird. But my intern was with me and we looked and it was almost immediate. Her neck, her upper neck, where the control to the shoulder blade, you could see very profoundly that she had a neck out of place piece or misalignment or subluxation, as I like to call it, but subluxation up in her upper neck that if we fixed it, we might have a good shot at reorganizing that intelligence for her shoulder. And the neatest thing happened. I had her raise her arm, couldn't hardly raise it. We just touched her upper neck. That was it. We adjusted her upper neck. That was it. We didn't touch the shoulder at all. And I had her raise it again. It was gone. It completely went away with one little move. And so we were all smiling going, wow, that was pretty cool. But that is the difference. A lot of times we would beat on that shoulder for about a year, not knowing that you have to step back, look at the innate intelligence and how your body's interacting with the rest of the world. Her issue was that she was in a job that her head was in a bad ergonomic position all day, every day. That was the key. So then that led to her not adapting that universal intelligence well. They weren't coordinating together, and that got her out. That got her in that situation. So hopefully that story will resonate with you a little bit with that. And I want to go back to say it one more time. Let me get back to So I want to tell you one more time and just kind of think about this week and how is your innate intelligence coordinating with the universal intelligence? Kind of check it out and see how that all goes. And just this week. But this is chiropractic principle number 2, the chiropractic meaning of life. And it says the expression of this intelligence, the universal, the innate intelligence through matter, is the chiropractic meaning of life. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and I hope to get you another one of these bad boys soon at the end of the week. All right, talk to you later.
Don't think for a second that this episode has reached its full potential, because we have plenty more for you on Myers-Chiropractic.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to the show on your preferred podcast listening service so you don't miss a minute of real stories, real people, and real results. We look forward to exploring the human potential with you next time, right here on The Prize Inside.